I feel like one of the first lessons that most humans learn when they go off to kindergarten is that we are not perfect, right? I'm not always going to be the best drawer or the best at my letters or the best at math, or that I can, make a mistake, or maybe I accidentally hit someone. We all learn that we are imperfect, right? And it's something we continually have to learn through, dealing with all of our psychological issues, and just having the humility to return to the fact that I am fallible, that I am flawed, and to forgive ourselves and ask others for forgiveness when apropos. And I had this realization at the end of last year, though, that okay, so I can intellectually and hopefully personally integrate that as best I can on the day-to-day. But then why in my musical life, in my creative life, or it could be your professional life, do I somehow still seemingly expect perfection and get pretty upset when it's not what I did in the practice room or what I did yesterday or what I think I can do? I am an imperfect human. My artistry is going to be imperfect. It doesn't matter how competent you are, because the truth, which is what we say we always aspire to in art and in life, has to be reflective of life, which is life is imperfect. And I mean, on the cosmic, unified level, yes, nothing is imperfect. But when we're talking about us as relative humans, we all do have, let's call it idiosyncrasies, not necessarily imperfections, but idiosyncrasies about how we sing a phrase or how we do this because of our physicality or our ethnicity or our age or our training, whatever it might be. When we've integrated that, when we've owned that, when we've accepted it and celebrated it, that's what makes someone interesting. There are things that are not kosher about Maria Callas' singing at times, but like you would never not know that it was her, and it was quite compelling as a result of that. And so many older singers, like older classical singers from the turn of last century, 1800s, stuff like that, from what we can hear on recordings, they're doing things that are stylistically like not what we train young singers necessarily to do today, or that aren't always heard at the major houses, but maybe they should be, right? Because not only could they sometimes be quite just aesthetically compelling and technically impressive, but they actually were at times a little ugly or had darker colors or, chesty or this or that involvement that meant that it was in fact like a deeper, more accurate reflection of real human life, because real human life is not always beautiful, pear-shaped tones. And the Metropolitan Opera recently released some video of the great British director Anthony Minghella, film director as well as stage director, preparing for the premiere of his iconic production of Madame Butterfly at the Met about 20 years ago. It's about a 20-year-old production or so. And it's a really beautiful production. And he's giving notes to the cast. And he says at one point, the worst thing someone could say about the production is that the singing is beautiful. Because if they say that, they're seeing you, the singer, as separate from the story you're telling. Because, life is not always beautiful, especially in this context, this, mother who's sacrificing herself for her child so that he can go live with the father he never knew and to have a better life. That is heart-wrenching. It's a gut punch. It's sad. It's traumatic. There can be moments of poignancy and beauty in that, but if it's beautiful, it's not really getting to any of the matter there. I think so much about that in terms of I have not mastered the art of forgiving myself, forgiving my artistry for being imperfect or idiosyncratic. And I think I still struggle with what are the parameters? What's the way of working rigorously and playfully, of working within the confines of a system, and yet also, most importantly, honoring my own creative, spiritual, and intellectual instincts. I don't have a perfect theory devised. If you do have one, please share. I'm really looking and open, would love to discuss. But I do think, like many things, it's the question that I live, and it's deeply informative, it's deeply profound to consider and sit and be with. And just to, hope that with every performance, with every creation, with everything I release into the world, that I can do it with a little bit more aplomb, humility, playfulness, and maybe even someday a little bit of pride. Because I still find it pretty gut-wrenching and awful to have to listen to myself perform, even when it's like a recording or watch a video, even when it's something that went pretty well. And I call it my vocal anorexia or my vocal dysphonia, and it's a real thing. And yet, in many ways, that's incredibly disrespectful, because I'm not the only singer. Every singer that shares with someone that they're a singer or they're a classical singer. But there's a common reaction that I've had, especially with very self-aware people who are interested in sound or interested in, how they connect to their spirituality through music or vocal work of any kind, whether that be, sound meditation or singing music with their kids. That, I'm embarrassed to sing around you. Like, I wouldn't. And my thing is always like, oh, no. Like, everyone has a beautiful voice. And I do actually believe that. I actually do believe that singing is like prayer, that we can all do it. And that it's actually, cultural indoctrination that teaches us and inculcates us that our voices aren't beautiful or that we don't have a good voice. So I apply that to everybody else. But when it comes to myself, I'm like, no, why do you even sing? Like, this is embarrassing. This is just awful. That's my own work. But it is funny, and that's why I am, with age, more and more keenly aware of needing to stop apologizing for all of the things that I feel aren't perfect around my voice, because if I truly believe that singing is prayer and that everyone has a beautiful voice, like, I have to start with myself. Everything is ultimately an inside job, and if we don't apply what we truly believe at home, then who's going to take it seriously outside that?